All right.
Good evening, everyone that is joining us for Her Story live panel discussion. Today's topic is The Silence Hurt Too, Unlearning the Shame of Domestic Violence in honor of Domestic Violence Month. It's sad that we have a month that honors, that we have to honor this, but it's not talked about enough. So I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves before we jump into this topic. Maybe trigger warnings. So watch under your own, discernment. If it become too much, shut it down, because this not to make you leave this and be hurt. We want you to leave this and feel empowered. So first, Hakina.
Hi, everyone. I am Hakina Michelle. I am a speaker, a coach, an educator, and an activist, and a recently author of Broken Mothers Create Wounded Children. And I hope tonight is enlightening for you, empowering for you, and I hope it definitely brings something to you that is healing. And we have
Ta-
our two guests, other two panelists.
Tasha.
Hello, everybody. I'm Tasha. Some know me as Sister Natty on TikTok. I am a spiritual advisor, or a modern day African American spiritual advisor. So, also a hairstylist, definitely for 10 years straight. So, you can see me about that too.
A natural healer. Mika.
Hi, I'm Mika. Some may know me as Chef Sugar, um, or the original Sugar on TikTok. I am also a community center specialist working with older ladies I'm sorry, the older community as well as children. Um, and I'm just an all around spiritual person that has a lot of knowledge to spread. So I am also hoping that something that we say today helps someone get over the hump.
Okay, and y'all know me, and my partner will be coming on shortly, Coco Anthony, and of course we're a part of Let's Talk That Talk with Cola. But tonight, this is her story. Even though the title is her story, this story hits everyone. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. Um, let's start it off. Hakina, how you want to start tonight?
I actually do have a question because I have the link. How do I send the link to someone
To watch or to join?
to watch?
To watch. It should be on your Facebook page. You link your Facebook page.
I believe I did. I thought I did. Yeah.
I don't see you up there. Oh, yes, you are. It's on, so it'll be on your page. They can go on your page and see it too.
Okay, got you. All
All
right.
right.
Well, I'll let them know that in a minute. But again, thank you and welcome. I'm Hakina Michelle. And tonight we chose to talk about this topic because, like my sister said, we have a month that we have to, I won't say have to, that we choose to want to bring awareness. I won't say celebrate, bring awareness to domestic violence. And when we was talking about this topic, some of the things that we wanted to make sure that we pinpoint was the importance of understanding domestic violence outside of physical abuse. When we think of domestic violence, the first thing we think of is someone getting physically, beat or hurt or in some type of way. We rarely ever connect it to understand emotional, psychological, mental, and financial abuse, and consider domestic violence as well. One of the things I think I wanted to share tonight was I spent 30 years. My mother passed away in 2021, on my 47th birthday. That made 30 years that I had been raising my mother and my siblings. And one thing I got from watching my mother throughout her life was that she had a penchant for attracting men that wanted to place their hands on her. So as a young girl, I kind of learned and understood the importance of valuing yourself, of understanding your worth, um, actually loving who you are as a person, because I think those things sometimes are the things that allow us to not be conscious of the people that we bring into our lives. And that's a big factor when it comes to domestic violence. Being able to discern the people around you, being able to understand the triggers, being able to understand the things that allow people to want to even be physical in the first place, or be abusive in the first place, and dealing with people these days, and being an educator, dealing with emotional intelligence and critical thinking skills. One of the things I try to do in my community is to make people understand how important it is to value emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, if you're not understanding what that is the understanding of your emotions and valuing your emotions and being able to understand the emotions of other people. And being a Gen Xer, I know I don't look 50, but I am. But being a Gen Xer, one of the things that we had to deal with was we didn't have a space to where we could even voice our feelings, understand our feelings, or be able to express things that were going on with us. So domestic violence in the Black community has been going on for decades and generations in silence. So I want to thank my sisters for creating a platform for us to be able to speak about it out loud. For Black women, for generations, we've thought being a good wife or being a good partner or being a strong Black woman was being silent. And in this day and age, I'm very excited that we're now happy about using our voice. We're very excited about being able to speak about the things that we've gone through. I always say, if I
Mhm.
get in the 36 years I have been coaching and mentoring women, if I could ever get all the women in one room, we will be in awe of how we share the same stories, we share the same experiences, just different scenarios. So tonight, I hope that we, as we share our stories, as we begin to, enlighten people on our own personal lives, that people will understand and say, you know what, it's not just me.
Yeah.
Like I was saying earlier, being a young girl raising her mother and watching her go through things, it did give me a a fear, honestly, a fear of being in abusive relationships. And although I was in one, it wasn't physical, which is why I'm also an advocate for emotional and psychological and mental abuse, because I sat in a relationship for 11 years and I was abusive for 8. And I never knew that I was in a domestic violence relationship because we were not physically fighting. So tonight, I hope that we, can bring awareness to things and understanding for different avenues of domestic violence, other than just being physically beaten by someone. But I'm long-winded, so I'll pass the mic.
You is fine, Mika.
I agree. There is two forms of abuse. I have, unfortunately, and I will also say fortunately, because I learned a lot, experience both mental and verbal abuse and actual physical abuse. And sometimes people tend to try to put a measurement or a weight on whether one is worse than the other, and they all are not bad. So I mean, they all are not good. Sorry, but um, yeah. So I'm really I agree with the fact that growing up, you really didn't have a voice, and I feel like at a younger age, when we really needed to learn and understand ourselves to be able to develop a little bit quicker mentally, we didn't know how to do that. And also growing up, like going to a therapist or anything like that was almost frowned upon. Like you would have to be, they think you, if you go see a therapist, then something is wrong with you. So like in the Black community, from what my understanding, it was almost like, don't do that. You
Mhm.
know, you got to be able to figure it out, or you're weak if you try to seek help or try to get someone to talk to about it. And it wasn't for a long time that I got a little older, and I actually was talking to one of my coworkers who is, they weren't Black, and she actually said to me, I don't know how you Black people survive without a therapist, going through as much as you go through just in society as a whole. And it was just kind of, at first it was kind of like, what you say? You say that to me? But then it was like, you know what, you're telling the truth. Because how are we surviving? And now without healing some of those hurts, that goes into your book. sis, where it's like you're not healing those things, and then you're creating children that are destined to almost be unhealed because they have no idea how to work through their emotions or their feelings, and you have no idea how to teach them.
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
Right.
exactly. No, I agree
Okay.
with that.
hmm I agree with that. The question I asked, I'm gonna come right to you, says the question I asked Brie last night was, why is mistreatment, Abigail, why is mistreatment of kids not included in DV? Because if you look at the definition of DV, it's literally the harming of like a family member, something like that. I looked it up last night because I really wanted to know why are you being abused as a kid, not DV. Because if an uncle come over and smack an aunt and the aunt call the police, it's DV. So it's a family thing if it's in the house, right?
right.
Um, and that's where it starts at, right? But we're gonna put a pin in that. But that's where I feel like DV starts at. Tasha.
I was literally just thinking that. Um, of course, weak-minded individuals want to show some sense of control.
Mhm.
Even going back for us as Black people in history, we got beat on, put in order, in a sense of control, a sense of trauma nobody has ever recovered from, ever. And you teach your kids, the only way I know as a Black person to discipline my kids is to show them some form of control. So how else am I going to control my spouse? It's beating or mental abuse or degrading or belittling. So tonight I know we're gonna accomplish how to look for the signs of being in a abusive relationship, but how do we get out
We gonna hit it.
is mostly important. What kind of support system we have to get out of those situations and how to know, when enough is enough. Everybody is very cliche to say, when you're tired, you're gonna give up, you're gonna leave, but really, how easy is that?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want us as comfortable as you feel, right? Don't push the pin. I want us to all share if we've ever been in a DV relationship. I know Hakina shared a part of hers. I have, but I'm a firm believer. Mine started as me and my mom, right, and watching her literally run after my stepfather after he pretty much damn near knocked her head between the stove and the refrigerator. And I watched her run up the stairs after this whole argument and everything, and me running after her. And I promise you, I remember it. I want to say I was like 6 years old. I remember busting my lip because I ran after them. And it wasn't to go save, it was to go see what was going on. But for whatever reason, I feel like that is what changed my whole eyesight with love, because this is what love is, right? I had the house, I had the dog, literally, had the picket fence for real. And we went, got our hair done and everything, but then they would fight like cats and dogs. But this is love. And then it shows you what to prepare yourself for and what to accept, or you go the opposite direction, which we'll get into that later. And then I got into my first abusive relationship at the age of, I think I was like 14, and it was bad. It was really bad. I mean, I had a black eye. I had a dislocated jaw. I had a blades in my throat. I was pushed down a hill while I was pregnant. I was hit with a branch of a tree. This is all one relationship. And then from that relationship, after I got out of it, I went into another one, and that he was different. And that's my first ex-husband. Absolutely different. And I remember begging him to hit me because I did something wrong. Because I
Mhm.
didn't feel like you love me if you didn't.
Mhm.
Crazy shit, right?
Actually, it's normal in our community.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised.
It
It
is
is.
definitely.
Sometimes people, the ironic thing is, sometimes people, and I can't even call it mature enough, but sometimes people are aware that some things just aren't right. And I say that by saying, like you just said, you saw your mother be abused, so you thought that was right. But you, on the flip side, you have people who watch their parents or their mother get abused, and they refuse to be in anything like that. And that literally goes along the line with anything, even whether it's with domestic violence, whether it's with being a sexual predator. Some sexual predators prey on other children or whatever the case may be because they were touched. And some of them that were touched would never do their kids like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like two sides to it. And that's where the emotional intelligence is what I'm understanding is where Hakina came from, where she's like, we had to get to an emotional intelligence space to be able to recognize that right is right and wrong is wrong. Wrong is still wrong, even when it feels right, you know? So, yeah, that's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you brought it up. But my sister, she was like, "You're gonna put a pin in it," but you pull the pin out. So we go ahead and pull the pin out. Because one of the things we were discussing was when we were talking about children and domestic violence. So I'm gonna hit on a few points because all y'all made a great point. And I told her, I said, when I decided to write Broken Mothers Create Wounded Children, it started as a journal. It was me journaling out, all the things I had seen, and I had been mentoring young girls since I was 15. So, being in the space of hearing all my sisters' voices and, their pain and their hurt, I had to get it out my system some way. So the book kind of came as a journal. And if you haven't gotten the book, get the book. Um, but the first chapter in the book is called Slave, Master, and Slave. I'm not referring to what we understand as slave, master, slave. I'm referring to Black parents and Black children. Because as my sister Nick said, if you think about how we were raised as young Black people and you understanding our history of enslavement, because that's what they call it, enslavement, um, we were raised exactly the same way. When we came out of enslavement,
Uh-oh, she
We
be back.
lost you, Chris.
She be right back. What? Okay, somebody want to jump in and share a part of their story?
Well, I was going to wait until she finished her
Okay.
statement, but um,
I bet you.
sometimes what you see is how you think it's supposed to be. Because although my mother, I probably don't remember one time my mother with me. I mean, she probably popped me one time when I kept talking because she was on the phone. But if I have to think all the way back, it never was ever a
and it threw me
time
off the camera.
where
Can y'all
I
hear me
was
now?
We
hurt
can hear you.
or abused by
Okay,
my
great. So,
mother or
and one of the
anybody.
things that I
But go ahead,
realized
sis.
Come on,
I
sis.
and through research
Hakina.
was, can you
Hakina.
hear me?
Hold on. Hold on. Get 1 second. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay,
Which one of y'all want to finish?
1 second.
I'll let her finish. Go ahead.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna log out and come back.
You
No,
can't
go
hear
ahead.
us?
Can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear us because she probably wouldn't have been talking if she knew I was talking.
Uh,
But so my mother like never whooped me at all. But the things that she took in her marriage, and then the things that she told me about later that my father did, it was like, okay, I get operating out of a space of love, but to what degree? Like, you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So can you hear me? Can you hear us, sis?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
had a phone call and it knocked me off the call. Sorry.
Wow. But so I just was gonna say when she finished, I was gonna say that. But go ahead, sis.
No, you can go ahead and finish if you was
No,
talking.
I was piggybacking off of what you said when you said that sometimes it's like learned behavior or the slave mentality, or so to speak, and how to control, like Tasha was saying, how to control and so on and so forth. And I was saying that but mine was on the flip side. My mother didn't do that. She didn't scream at me and yell at me or beat me or hit me or anything. But what she did enduring her relationships carried over.
Mhm.
So it wasn't that she was mean because she did everything out of love and she forgave with love and everything was with love. And it's like, with love to what degree? Because this man don't need to be here. But it wasn't obviously nothing I could do about that. I was a kid.
Right.
But that was the only thing I was going. But I want you to finish your statement.
I mean, but the thing is, that's a valid point because when I talk to when I deal with my clients, sometimes they say, "Well, I never got hit." That's okay. Well, let's continue to talk and we'll see where we go with this. Because most people feel like if you've never had your hands put on you, I wasn't really abused. I wasn't really, but The more you talk to people, you understand how they would talk to as children. You
Mhm.
understand how the psychological abuse. You understand the manipulation. You understand, the gaslighting that was
Mhm.
done. So when I say slave master and slave, I'm not just talking about physical abuse. That's very prevalent, yes, because we know at any time during that time frame, if you talk back, just like little kids, we talk back. I'm gonna use some talk. I'm gonna use something to be scared about. If you listen to the vocabulary of how our parents and grandparents and great grandparents. Keep in mind when I say this to people, I say I never blame any generation because every generation is a product of what was before them. I would say every generation is a harvest of the seeds planted before them. So we can't blame any generation for what we have in our community right now, but we can be aware of the truth.
Yeah.
So the tagline for my business is there's no healing without truth. And one thing in our community we don't want to do is tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like as long as we don't talk about it, as long as I don't mention it, it's okay. But
Mhm.
going back to talking about the first chapter book, I chose to make it slave master and slave because I wanted my people to understand how that mentality has passed down in generations, in decades, in households, and in our community since the time we came physically out of chains. And parents, when black parents began to govern their own homes, they I feel, and this is from my own opinion as well as through research, that they picked up the mentality of the slave master.
Absolutely. You can
So
go
Mm-hmm.
all the way, and you can take it all the way to church. Church, the same
Mm-hmm.
thing.
all
Yep.
the way
Yeah.
to church. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Because we understand you do what I say, do when I say, do it how I
Mhm.
say, do it. You think when I say think, you don't have a voice. That's a slave master mentality.
Mhm.
But like my sister said, think about that. Is that also abuse? It
It
is. It
It
is.
Mm-hmm.
is.
It is. It's psychological,
Mhm.
emotional, and mental abuse. And think about that happening to a child who yet has no critical thinking skills. The whole frontal lobe, peripheral lobe, all these things have not fully developed, and you're being psychologically and mentally and emotionally abused. Let's say you never got hit,
Yeah.
ever got hit. But for a child, that is detrimental to who they will become for the rest of their lives. And
Mhm.
like I think it was one of us said, if two things are going to happen, and let's talk about that. You either going to become the abuser
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
or you become the healer from the abuser. But like what you were saying, my mother went through that, and I was like, I'm never gonna do that. Like I'm never gonna be in a relationship where you put your hands on me. One, I ain't scared because I ain't gonna be like, oh, don't hit me. No, we ain't doing that. You hit me, then that means you about that life. Then let's run it. So I'm never going back down. But at the same time, it did give me an understanding that that's not the life that I wanted. That was not
Mm-hmm.
okay. But for some people, they see that and it becomes their norm. It's all they know how to do. They have no other option other than what they grew up in. And that for them is what love, like you say, love looks like. It's what a relationship looks
Mm-hmm.
like. But it's
Yeah.
not. And that right there is the psychological and emotional and mental abuse that child who's now an adult endured to become the abuser.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Tasha,
And
what
I
you?
feel like parenting is always like including relationships. Everybody always feel like they need love. They
Mhm.
need a partner. Oh, you need me. And that's very narc like. And also, what about teaching your children to find the peace within themselves first, or the love within themselves first? Figure out what they love, who they love. Oh, you love your mommy. Why do you love me? What do I do for you that makes you feel like I love you?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Because if you go out here into this world with, God knows who, and
Mhm.
you keep telling people, oh, I need love or I'm looking for love. And it's like, dang, this person really, feel like they need me or they need my love, which opens the door for mental abuse off gate.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
So,
agree.
I agree. I agree. All right, I got a couple questions to go a little bit. Did anybody wanted to share anything else before?
Oh no, you can go. You
No,
can
go ahead,
go.
sis.
Um, so now because this topic has been trying to get people to get away from the shame of it all, because we know when you are in a domestic relationship or a situation at all, whatever, any type of abuse brings shame or guilt. You
Mhm.
either blame yourself or I mean, which gives you kind of the shame of it all. Um, how does shame show up in survivor lives, especially in our community? And I mean like the LGBT community. I know you had an important fact you wanted to bring up too, sis Akina.
Oh yeah, exactly. If you don't understand in the LGBT community and all the other alphabets, were you aware that we are 44%? We had a 44% rate of being emotionally, mentally, sexually, and verbally abused. For bisexual women, it's 61% that the abuse occurs in relationships. And like
I
my sister was
believe
saying,
it.
yeah, yeah, and those are high rates if you think about, the understanding of abuse in a household. And for us in LGBT, I can never get those words out. There's so
No,
many
the
different
alphabet, the
names.
alphabet soup.
LGBT.
Alphabet soup.
Girl, oh, that's how you got to figure
You put the alphabet
LGBT.
soup. That's what
Gotta
it
say
is.
it a little slow. Say it a little slow. This
Girl,
LGBT.
right?
There's always a new
Exactly.
letter, so just it's just the alphabet.
Oh, I'm not adding any more letters. I'm too old to be adding new letters. I'm not adding no new letters. I'm running with what I already know. So yeah, but in our community, it's not even really looked at as domestic abuse because we're both the same sex.
And that's wild.
So yeah, so that makes it even more dangerous because someone coming into oh, this is two women, oh, this two men. That's like me and you, one of us get into an argument, and for people looking at that, it's just two women having a fight or two women, having an issue. That
But
can
the
be
crazy
detrimental.
part about that is if we fought in public, we'd get arrested for
Mm-hmm.
a domestic situation in public. But if you're in a relationship, it's just two girls arguing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So it's not taken as serious as a heterosexual domestic violence situation, but I think that it's something that we need to really delve into and make it known because it is serious. If you haven't watched the news or social media the last couple of years, there has been a high rate of female on female deaths
Yes,
in
killings.
domestic relationships. Exactly.
Mhm.
I think that that's because of the lack of seriousness
Mm,
that's taken account for us at this point.
Mhm.
mm,
So,
that's
Yeah,
that's
it's a lot of that. When I used to tell people that I was in an abusive relationship and they used to be like, "You let that girl beat on you?" And I'm like, "What you mean?"
because
You know?
because I
Yeah.
really feel like people think that is they have the wrong mindset because it's not like you're letting this person beat on you. You've been just like anything else. It's a
Mm-hmm.
Grown.
it is a grooming to it. It is a breaking down of your self-esteem. It is taking you away from safety places. That's why I think I am real big on not losing any of my friends because I'm in a
Yes.
relationship. There's
Mm-hmm.
no reason. I should be able to have a balance. I should not be taken away from my home because of my friends, but I surely
Right.
should be able to have those friends because if not, you're starting to isolate yourself and it might not even be a relationship. It could be
And
the
yes, and the isolation for abusers is key.
oh my
Getting
God.
you away from
Yes,
your
it is.
family, your
Absolutely.
friends, making sure your friends are, oh, y'all must be doing it with each other, making sure they turn you against your friends.
Mhm.
Yes,
OMG.
yes, I
So
And I
experienced
feel
that.
and I feel like they'll come in and start something so if the family don't like them, because that's another reason to keep you away. Because
Yeah.
if you rocking with your mate, you ain't gonna pick your family most likely. And then now you in this whirlpool of being able to them gates starting to open up. And next thing you know, you got your head between the refrigerator and the stove. And it's not oh, I let it happen. It's not you don't pay attention. Just like if we was essayed as a kid. We ain't let that happen. DV is the same thing. You're not letting it happen. You was just groomed. They caught you at the wrong time with the right devices. That's it.
exactly.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And also, like, you as a friend, and you know that your friend is getting some type of abuse,
Mhm.
make sure you as a friend make sure that that abuser know that you around no matter
Hmm.
what. Like, I'm just checking on my friend,
Mhm.
hitting her up, making sure, I'm just texting my friend, or we going out to eat. She needs some girl time. Make sure if you see any of your friends, being physically or mentally abused, one thing you can't do is get mad and be like, oh, well, I'm coming to beat that person up, or I'm coming to take you away, or you need to leave, because when they
Mhm.
when they get hit again, or if they get abused again, they're not gonna tell you nothing.
Nope.
Mhm. Mhm.
They
Exactly.
gonna feel uncomfortable telling you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So if
And if
if
they
you
not
do
ready
have
to go, they will turn
right,
against you.
Yeah.
You got to stand by your friend.
Mhm.
Yes.
I said it. I said this a couple of weeks ago that it's any type of abusive situation outside of like SA, right? Because that's a whole nother category. But like DV and things like that, um, it's an addiction. After a while, it becomes an addiction. You start looking for this abuse. And if you have an addiction, and I'm sure a lot of us have people in our life that have addiction, you can't go out there and just pull them out the street because they're gonna find a way back out.
Mm-hmm.
And as
Yes.
much as you want to, you have to get to a point where it's not driving you crazy because they're going to do what they want to do. But if they call, your phone is available.
Mm-hmm. You have to be
Right.
helpful without being consumed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you had a point earlier when you said sometimes people don't want to leave, and
Yeah.
you know, I think now we're getting to a point to where it's no longer we're staying because of financial reasons. We're no longer staying because of the children, and
Mm-hmm.
we're no longer staying because of we don't feel like we can stand on our own. But we have to understand, for generations, that was the mentality of Black women.
Yep.
They had to stay because they was financially, unable to take care of themselves and their kids. They had to stay because they were afraid. They stayed because their parents or grandparents told them, you don't break up no marriage. There was a lot of things that was set in place prior to, this era, that passed down generations for us as Black women and men, because we're gonna definitely talk on that too as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah, for Black women, that psychologically made us feel that this again is our normal.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
luckily right now, we are understanding and breaking down those different barriers and breaking down those little stigmas that were once so true. For our Black women, no, I cannot leave. I cannot go. Me and my kids got to stay. He a good man. He pay the bills. At least he come home. All those things that was said for generations, that they made themselves be okay with to
Yeah.
stay in that relationship. And I think as women, that's why I always tell women, self-love and self-worth and self-respect. It is
Mhm.
imperative. It is imperative. You cannot function in healing without it. Because if you do not love yourself, and I don't mean love the way you look, your hair, your lashes. I
Yeah.
mean love the God that's in you. Love
Yeah.
your soul,
Mhm.
love your spirit. Enough to say, you
Mhm.
know what, I am more important than this. I am better than this. And for generations, that was not their truth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
True that.
now we're doing things like this. This would never happen to our grandparents, our
Heck no.
grandfathers. What we're
Mm.
doing right now,
They
some
wasn't
of our
talking about nothing
mothers would
outside of
never
the
Heck
do
house.
this.
no. Absolutely forbidden.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
But you know what's crazy? It was groomed in households, but it was also in the music.
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
When you think about it, Betty with a Betty White song.
Uh-huh.
She
girl.
say,
Yes.
"Don't blame Mr. Charlie. Mr. Charlie is just a man, and he's doing the best he can." Most of the songs back in the day
Hmm.
said, "I'm still gonna love him, even though he
Yep.
down the street doing this and he down the street doing this, but I got me a good man." The music
Yeah.
said it.
Hmm.
Everything
Mhm.
about that generation said it. From the households, from everybody keeping everything quiet,
Mhm.
from some people can look back and their grandparents never slept in the same room, but she
Right.
wasn't leaving.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They stayed in these relationships and these marriages through whatever, and then sang Baby White song all day. And
Yeah.
and and
Right.
we was just humming right along with
It
it
was. It was.
until you
It
got older
was
and was
you every
like,
word.
"This
But
shit is
not only that,
different."
it's the pressure from that generation to us now. I'm a 36 young African American female, 36 years old. But the pressure of why you don't have a man, why you don't have children, why you not married yet. The pressure, even if you are, secured in your peace and your love for yourself, it will make you think, like, damn, why am I not?
There you go.
Mhm.
That's psychological and mental abuse. Yes, all that stuff that
Mhm.
plays out. And don't,
It
don't don't
is.
forget our national anthem as a Black people. What goes on in your house, stay in your
Stays in your
Stays
house.
in
That's
your
When
right.
I
house.
tell you,
For
yeah,
everybody unhealed now.
I make sure my
exactly.
whole entire family know. Don't let your kid call me and say nothing because I'm telling them to tell the truth. So
Exactly.
don't have them call me because I'm gonna put them in
Listen,
the direction of help because we ain't have that. We had to go through it and shut up and figure life
Exactly.
out when you get older. I don't
Yeah.
want nobody I'm related to having to figure it
you're
out when
right.
you are 30, 40 years old and time has changed in all these years and what no. But I wanted to also say when you said about the whole Betty Wright, I remember my grandmother passed uh Zay's 13. So 12 years ago, I want to say. I did not,
Mhm.
and I almost worshipped my grandfather because I felt we was the only Capricorn in the family. Like that was that thing, and I could relate to him for whatever reason. Never had an issue with him. When she died, he died first. He died years wait 95, 95. She died 2013. But anyway, um, when she died, she had a letter that she had wrote years. I mean, years ago when he was still alive about how she absolutely despised this man, did not like him, was happy that he was getting sick. Like it was nothing in that letter that represented this man that I grew up looking at them too, not knowing that she was going through abuse the whole entire time.
Because back
Mhm.
then, child needed to stay in the child's place.
Oh my God. And then on top of that, to come find out that so I don't know how true, so I'm gonna say allegedly, but I believe my mom that the same grandfather that I damn near worship tried to violate her and she still had to grow up in that household.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy work.
That's why that's why our
Mhm.
anthem has allowed so many people to suffer in silence for
Hmm.
Yeah.
decades
Yes.
and decades. I say I was gonna be living in the same neighborhood, going through the
Yep.
same abuse, but we would never known because we would have never said anything to each other ever.
Because they don't do nothing
Right.
about them. They just watch him around the kids, but he still came around the kids.
Yep. But I
He's
will
still
say,
around. He's still
He's
around.
still
still
around
around,
the kids.
still
Your
around.
cousins, little cousins talk. They tell each other what's going on and everything. And here come Uncle June in my family. You couldn't be. Hey, don't go in the room. Don't go in that room by yourself with him.
And it's
But
like,
why
why would
not?
you have him around though?
But then why is he
Right.
here?
Why is he
You know
here?
what I'm saying? But as a kid, you like, okay, don't nobody be in the room with Uncle June by themselves. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
like that's just what it was. But that's exactly how it was. And you didn't tell nobody, and they didn't talk around the kids, so you didn't know what was going on. You had no idea. It was do as I tell you to do, and
But
that was
even
it.
I got one even better. Y'all said they didn't in a community that we wouldn't have known. The crazy part is a lot of them knew and they would go over and docked up the one that just got her head knocked off and then
Yeah.
gone back home like nothing even happened,
Yeah,
Hmm.
which is
girl, be
how
quiet because he taking care of your household.
Mhm.
Let me patch this eye back up, and you go back home. All you need is a little bit of makeup to cover it up, and you're gonna be
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that stuff just passed right on down and okay, we didn't hit, but how does the shame show up?
The shame
Um,
shows up in a lot of different ways, honestly. The shame shows up in a false illusion
Hmm.
Mhm.
of having a great household. The
Hmm.
shame shows
Mhm.
up in people overcompensating in like church. You said
Hmm.
earlier, in
Mhm.
church, in our community. It shows up in the way we as women sometimes have to overcompensate for how we are physically, like our bodies and how we carry ourselves and all these kind of things. So those are a lot of ways that we kind of overcompensate for the shame,
Yeah.
that we're doing. We have to make sure that the physical illusion looks one way
Hmm.
so that people
Mhm.
know people have the perception. She's good. She's great. She got together because we were never taught to actually be honest. Again, truth. There's no healing without truth. And when you're not taught to be honest, then you don't know how to show up physically being
Mhm.
in an honest way, like what we're doing now, just telling the truth. So shame for a lot of us, for a lot of us, and especially prior generation, showed up in just a way that it allowed other people to believe the illusion, like you just said. Your grandfather, he was on a pedestal to you. So
Hmm.
the shame that your grandma had to endure during that time frame was to put on the persona that your grandfather was this wonderful person and that everybody knew. But
Mhm.
inside, she never allowed that to actually live. So her letter was her way of letting it out.
Yeah.
yeah. For
Mhm.
me, my shame showed up um when I realized that I was repeating the behaviors that I
Mm.
was enduring. So, although my mother was a very, very loving person, and she always spoke life into me and all of those things, what she endured, the things I saw her go through. Now, even when she was trying not to show me, and I seen her go through, for me to get to a point in life where I was able to, like, a light bulb went off, like, yo, I'm dealing with the same thing. That's when the shame showed up for me, because how do I heal from that when I thought my mother was perfect and I thought she was the best mother in the world, when she was not knowing, possibly not knowing, I'm going to assume not knowing, that she was teaching me that what she was going through was okay, and that I was going to carry that into another relationship. For me, that's when my shame showed up. And then it blew up when, like my fiance just said, when it blew up when I was raising my son, and I didn't have, started to realize that I really didn't have the proper tools to help him um, work through his anger, or not even anger, but work through things that he was going through, because I had no idea, because my mother didn't work through it. She covered it all up with love.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, some people have bad things. That's not that that'll make them a bad person. No, he was a bad person,
Mm-hmm.
because a good person don't do that.
Yeah.
And at the time, I'm like, oh, that's it. Yeah, he's not a bad person. You gotta love everybody and blah 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 blah, and set myself up for failure. I walked right into the abuse,
Mm-hmm.
because oh, you just gotta love him through it, and oh, it's gonna be okay. That's what my mom did. And then it was like, yo, but your mother wasn't happy towards the end.
Yeah.
And the only time she got happy is when the Alzheimer and dementia kicked in, and she thought she was back in love in high school. That's when she
Wow.
was the most happiest.
Yeah.
And all of those things came full circle and had me step back, like, yo, I might have messed my kid up a little bit. Yo, I let my own self be messed up a lot. Now, do I have the knowledge to help somebody else get through it now? Absolutely, because I've been through a lot. I've been through all forms of abuse, even self abuse, So I get it, now, but then I didn't. So my shame came when the wool was pulled off of my eyes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
That,
start. I
I
started the
saw a
question.
message. I saw a message.
I started so we can come back to it.
Okay, you saw the question.
I
Okay.
started. Yep.
Okay.
Because and I put the link in if she wanted to join too. Because the counselor be ready. Okay, she be
Yeah, I
ready.
saw. I was like, oh, that's a good one. Get
Therapist,
that one.
I
that's the
thought.
psychotherapist
Uh
and
huh. Yeah,
your
she be
own
ready.
questions.
My shame is when I didn't have, I don't feel like I had a lot of shame when it was happening or after it was happening. I don't feel like I did. It was when I watched my kids all go through it, except for my boys.
Mm,
Because
okay.
the boys, well, Xavier, he's still growing, but I don't see him. He doesn't see it, right? At all. But the girls did. All of my girls got to see my lowest, my middle, my craziest, and every stage in life that I was raising them is what showed in them. And I think that was and that was this year. So yeah. And I had to go to my therapist so we could sit down and go through all the steps and so I could release it finally and be able to move forward. And now even though I've always been transparent with them, I'm extra transparent. So I am sharing my stories even more because maybe you ain't know. So let me tell you, this is what it looked like. This is what it felt like. This is what happened. This is what could have happened. Or making sure they know, even friends of mine that had to bury loved ones because they tried to get away and weren't able to. How I watched that impact them even to this day. And it happened years ago. Like it doesn't end, it doesn't stop. So that was mine with watching my kids mirror me.
Yeah. And I always tell people, I
Mhm.
say, if you want to know who I am, watch my children.
Hmm.
Actually, my
Yeah.
girls. Watch my
I
girls.
don't have I don't have any kids, but I do want to say my shame came from losing people that actually love me. while I was isolated by my abuser.
Yeah.
And watching my abuser treat everybody else with kindness, cloaking that narc within herself. And then because she was spreading herself thin with everybody else, cloaking herself, treating me or abusing me. And then, I'm losing people. I'm losing friends. I'm losing family members, burning a lot of bridges.
Yeah.
So definitely in the isolation, losing people that actually loved me, you know, brought the shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
think I think shame also can be a benefit if it gives you a wake up call.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
gives you a wake up call. It can actually be a benefit. But are you gonna read Keisha's question?
Yeah. It said, did you stay silent when the light bulb went off? That's the first part. The second part, how did you change that for you and your family?
Okay. Well, I'll answer that because I was the one that said the light bulb went off. um, so I probably stayed silent outwardly, but I didn't stay silent within. Within, I started to speak to myself. I started to speak life into myself. I started to speak out loud, although I wasn't around anyone, but I had to say it out loud of what I endured because I kept it to myself. Like when you first started, says you said people keep it quiet because if it's quiet, it didn't happen.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that happens within too. So I had to start verbally admitting what happened. I'm one of those people that I naturally create a joke around trauma. It's how I cope,
Aries.
but that's not that's not a good way to cope
Right.
because it literally turns into humor. So I
Mhm.
remember when I got beat up real bad, instead of showing how disheartening it really was and how much it really broke my spirit, I would say things like, I learned that day I should have been bobbing and weaving. You know what I'm saying? And it would make it was funny. It was true though, because I know now somebody walking towards me, that's probably going to be a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a bad thing for them at this
Right.
point.
Right.
But I had to, the light bulb went off. I had to take a step back and talk to myself out loud. Because me talking to myself in my head, everything just kind of, it went around in a circle. It was like I was chasing my own tail in my head. But when I started to speak it out loud, I was able to pinpoint it to the first time
Mhm.
something was wrong. And I knew something was wrong and I ignored it
Mhm.
because I was going to love through that, like my mother loved through what she went through.
Mhm.
And it continued. And then when I got in another relationship, the abuse may have changed, the type of abuse may have changed, but the abuse was still there. So I spoke out loud about that. And I finally cried about it. And it took a long time. I actually probably didn't fully cry about it until I got with my now fiance, that I was really hurt from being physically beat up.
Mhm.
And I think being physically beat up, at the time, I thought being physically beat up was worse than the mental abuse. But when the wounds healed,
Mhm.
I really didn't care anymore.
Yep.
I was just like, I ain't gonna do that no more. But that mental abuse, I can pinpoint it down to a conversation on the first day that it started
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and tell you everything about it coming up to where it's at. So now in my now life, I'm more realistic and I'm more open with my feelings.
Yeah.
My mother never really had, she when she had my stepfather and all the stuff went on with them, and she finally let it go. He pushed her down the steps. He made her lose her two houses that we stayed in. I ended up having to live with my godmother, who was mean, and my godfather was he was mean to her. He was just crazy. You know what I'm saying? And I had to endure all of these things. So my goal was to hold on to somebody that I have. Don't lose them. So deal with whatever you got to deal with to successfully have a relationship because I didn't see that. My father had 3 wives, 4 wives, or something like that. My mother, she only married, only person I've ever seen her in a relationship with was my stepfather, and he was terrible. So I'm growing up like I'm gonna have this family by any means necessary. So
Mm-hmm.
in my now life, I am more aware of my emotions. I'm more aware of my feelings. I am able to articulate what's wrong without letting it go too far.
Yeah.
I'm able to
Mhm.
communicate better with my children. I'm able to
Mhm.
ask the right questions because now I know what nobody asked me,
Yeah.
what nobody saw me going through, when nobody took the time to understand. I had to learn for myself. I wanted to be rescued. I wanted somebody to swoop in and tell me, you know what, you're beautiful. You shouldn't deal with that. But that
Yeah.
wasn't happening.
Yeah.
And even if somebody said it, I didn't believe it because I didn't believe it within myself. You know what I'm saying? So I had to really dig in and heal me within. And literally, I really understand what you're saying, sis. When you say you gotta learn how to love your soul, it
Yeah.
didn't have anything to do with the exterior. Because at when you go through something or you get into fall into a depression or whatever, you don't care about the exterior anyway.
Mm-mm.
You don't
Mm-mm.
care about your hair, your lashes. Sometimes you don't care about your smell, your teeth, your hygiene, none of that. You don't care about nothing. So you have to start on the inside. And me starting on the inside made me a better person for myself, which in turn automatically rolls off on other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. I totally agree with that. And because y'all my sisters, y'all know, I've been single and celibate for like what going on 4 years, but I'm not anymore. But that's
Period. Period.
oh y'all wrong for that. But after my last relationship, because I had been in a marriage for 11 years, and that marriage shifted me in a way like going back to shame. Because I was just thinking as you was talking. After that marriage, I sat in the mirror for almost a year, not every day, but at least I'll say about 2 or 3 times a week. I would go to my bathroom mirror and I look in the mirror. I'm like, "What's wrong with you, Akina?" Now I ask myself, "What's wrong with you?" And I continued to do that until I heard my spirit speak and talk to me, because the shame I was dealing with at that time was watching my children go through the hurt and the pain of something that I had created, because I had chose that relationship, because I had chose that marriage, because I had chose that partner. Now my children were experiencing trauma, and my whole goal, I deal with trauma, was to make sure that my children never dealt with trauma. So because of the partner that I chose, I had to watch my children, my daughters, heal from a situation I put them in when they were not even experiencing that with me and their dad.
Yeah.
So for me, I went through mommy guilt. I don't know if you ever heard of mommy guilt. I went through mommy guilt
Mhm.
for a whole year. I didn't even know that was a thing. I
Yeah.
was in therapy for a whole year dealing with mommy guilt because I was embarrassed. I was ashamed that as their mother, I had chosen someone to bring into my home that would not only hurt me mentally, emotionally, it hurt them mentally, emotionally. So
Yeah.
for a whole year, I asked myself, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" And after that, I did date, but after that, I was like, "Look, this, pause, 3 strikes you out." So I took a break and I went celibate and I went single. And during that time frame, I fell in love with myself. I would say, we meet people and we love them, we fall in love with them, and we give our all to them. We love them to no ends,
Yeah.
but we do not fall in love with ourselves.
Mhm.
You know what, I'm going to intentionally fall in love with myself. I'm going to date myself. I'm going to, do other things for myself that I want somebody else to do. So that's what I did for 3 years, and that was me dealing with the issue and the shame of not loving myself. Because much, how can you deal with therapy and trauma for 30 something years, but you're in a relationship and you get abused? I was embarrassed. I was
Yeah.
ashamed of that because I was like, how I do this for a living. So I had to take some time to actually fall in love with who I was as a person. Because clearly, even though I was mentoring and coaching and talking to my sisters and my friends, I clearly did not love myself enough to not be in a situation that was not only harming me, but my children at the
Mhm.
same time. And I'm fighting for something, a marriage that was not even beneficial to the household or the family at the same time. And you asked this earlier, how do we get out? I think we get out when we come to a point where we can sit in that mirror, whether it's actually physically sitting in that mirror or whether you just emotionally sit in that mirror and, like you said, in your head, you in your head and said, you know what, I have to figure out how do I love myself. I have to understand that I came in this world without this person. I may leave without this person. So during the time frame I'm on this earth with this person, how do I show up for myself?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I know, and I know you don't have any kids, Nick, but I think for you, it's the same process. You have to sit in the mirror and say,
Mhm.
how do I show up for myself, and not just me and my kids, but myself as a person. And
Mhm.
I think for a lot of women dealing with domestic violence, it's until you get to that point where you can do that for yourself. Some of us have our kids, they know that motivate us. Some of us have family members or sisters. It's there's something or somebody that has to say, you know what, there's something worth me fighting for on
Mhm.
this planet,
Mhm.
other than me fighting with someone on this
Right.
planet. And I think in order for us to get out of relationships that we're in that are volatile to us, we have to be able to understand again how love looks. And that's hard too. If you never grew up in a household where you really understood what love looks, some of us, I would say if you have a two-parent household, you'll be good. But what if you're two-parent household and neither one of your parents are emotionally stable? They don't have critical
Mhm.
thinking skills. They are violent. Like there, a lot of things that's happening with your parents. You got two parents, but they not right.
Baby.
It's not right at all. So a lot of us don't even understand what love looks like. We understand the illusion of love. I understand people.
Mhm.
I say people love people out of fear.
It is.
Mhm.
I'm afraid to lose you. I'm afraid of
I'm
how you're
afraid
gonna
to go
view
home.
me.
We're, we're, we're,
Exactly.
we were raised on fear.
Mhm.
You
From
weren't taught
birth.
to love God off of fear. You
From
didn't have
birth.
Right.
a relationship with God. You didn't have most of us, even to this day, it's adults out here that have a relationship with God or they're spiritual, whatever, out of fear.
Mhm.
It's not
Mhm.
because they took the time to build this relationship where it is them and God, and they can talk to God like they're gonna talk to your mom and your dad.
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
right.
It's the same thing. We were
You
raised
still
off
have you
fear.
still have a dependency on something else. Ain't no way you could
Yeah.
say that you have a relationship with God if you have a dependency on anything else.
Exactly. Exactly.
So fear is a huge
Very true.
fear has always been a huge part, especially for our culture. Fear has
Mhm.
always been, like y'all said earlier, it comes back from time and time again. I guarantee if we sat down and went back through our tree and was able to find people that may have, like if you have the families that wrote everything down and journal stuff,
Mhm.
everything we went through went back so freaking far, and all of it goes with control, fear, manipulation,
There you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
everything.
I say, although my childhood was not what I would have wanted to be, I am very fortunate to have been in a situation to where I did not idolize my parents.
Yeah.
I got to see my parents as real people, like real, no, you regular, like everybody else regular kind of situation, and that allowed me to not put them on that pedestal, and allowed me not to be afraid of them either.
Yeah.
At the same time, at the same time.
And that's wild that you say that because the year that I wasn't with my mother and I lived with my step parents, I mean my godparents, shaped me more. It had more of an impact. I'll say that it had more of an impact on how I view relationships as well as raising children.
Hmm.
I don't know if it was the time frame because I was from 12 to 13 or 13 to 14 or something like that. I don't know if it was a time frame and that was like my most absorbent time. But the way that I was treated in that house is how I was treated in my first marriage. And I remember going to my godfather because he married us. I remember going to my godfather and saying, I have, I feel like I'm being mentally abused. We were sitting on his couch. He said, why you say that? And I said, because he wants to control my every move. How long I'm at a store, how long I'm at the grocery store. If I go to the store today and it takes me 10 minutes, and I go to the store tomorrow and it takes me 20, it's a problem. He looked me dead in my face and said, then don't go to the store. And
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah, I can believe that.
And I had no words
Mhm.
because it was then that was another bub moment where I said,
Mhm.
"That's how you treat my godmother." So
Mhm.
ain't no way I should have had you counsel my
Mhm.
marriage.
Yeah.
And ain't no because a person that got some good sense that wasn't an abusive person or wasn't a mentally abusive person would have told me to run the other way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He told me how to pacify him. He said, "Well, don't go." I'm talking about, "Well, don't go to the store." I said, and the crazy part about it is, it still took me some time to get enough strength to say, "Okay, enough is enough." This was after I got pushed almost off the top porch through door, had a shotgun pulled on me, a revolver pulled on me, um, all kind of stuff. And then after the physical stop, in my mind, the abuse stopped,
Mhm.
but it went from physical because I was, if you do this again, I'm gonna leave. So he stopped, and it looked like it was progress being made, but then it turned into mental. Then it turned into you can't go nowhere. The isolation. The
Mhm.
isolation was huge. Can't go nowhere with your friend. Any friends that I had outside of who he knew was a problem. I want to hang with them because I want to be around my ex, or I want to hang with them because I want to go do the things that unmarried people do, or whatever the case may be. Then it
Mhm.
was I had a baby, and then we decided together that I wouldn't work the first year, and that entire first year, I better do this, I better do that. He take care of everything. I'm not good enough. None of this stuff is mine. You do what I tell you to do. It was worse than being pushed through a glass door.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I just went down and down and down and down until we got to the end, and he told me, "You and him can get out." And then he came back home from work, sat on the toilet, opened the door up, and said, "You don't even have that much stuff for you to still be here." And I left. I put what I could in my car, and I drove to my mother's house. And that was the end for me. And it wasn't, I feel like the only reason why I had enough strength to leave is because you put me and my son out.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
just try to throw me out, I probably would have went back, no lie.
Yeah.
But the fact that you don't care about the kid is
Mhm.
a
And sometimes the kid is what saved people
problem.
Yeah.
because you might
Mhm.
not respect you, but it's certain things you're not gonna be able to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, the
But
kids know
not
first.
my child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was only like 1.5, but it was just the point. Like, you ain't even had enough common courtesy to say, "Well, he could stay, but you gotta go." I probably could have respected you a little better. But I finally got out of that, and then got into a whole nother situation, and it was a different form of abuse, or it looked different.
Mhm.
It looked different. It wasn't so direct. It was a little bit more finesse. And it was like, "Oh, well, it ain't as bad as the last, so it can't be that
Mm.
bad."
Wow.
And then it escalated downhill. Next thing you know, I'm in the hospital looking like when Martin got beat up by Tommy Hearns. And that I cut that off immediately. He fled, got caught 4 years later. They didn't give him no time. They felt like he did his time when he was in California for something completely different.
I can't. That's a different charge.
Whole different charge. But they let him
Oh,
go. "Oh, you was young and dumb. Are you sorry?" I said, "Is he sorry?" Public defenders. And that's how it ended.
Before I make the next point, I have a question. So, what advice or what message would you give to women in that situation that you just described yourself? Because although I know it felt personal and it was personal, it is
Mhm.
very relevant in our community.
yeah.
The advice I can give to them, if it feels wrong, it is. Your body, your mind, your soul all aligns at some point and tell you that it's not right. but you let your heart tell you something different.
Dana, Dana beat the dog up. Joking, y'all. Joking.
Oh,
Okay, so next, I mean, since the same question next, because like for her, you know, she has kids, and like you don't want to call it don't have kids, but you've had to fight through, you know, the
mhm,
same traumas of being able to get out of those situations mentally and emotionally. So for women who don't
mhm,
have kids, who don't have that, you know what, I'm going to fight for my kids mentality. What would you say to those
mhm.
women?
Just like just like Mika said, your body gonna tell you before you know actually. You can't sleep at night, it's hard to eat. You're in survival mode completely 24/7. You're not at peace. You can't find peace. And that's when you need to lock in and maybe start reaching out to family members, start, answering your phone or get in your Bible, go to a church. Even if you're not into a church, but join a spiritual group, anything, find, keep busy. But you'll start knowing because your body will tell you before you do, before
Mhm.
your mind actually sit there and say, you know what, this is wrong, or before you get that first hit. You could tell by the belittling. Your feelings are hurt, but nobody, you feel misunderstood. So I feel like once it gets to that point, go ahead and start making your plans to leave, and leave peacefully. Leave with clean hands. Don't ever do anything back to the abuser. Don't ever, try to make matters worse. Get out of tarot land, looking up their signs, seeing what they doing. Yeah, just make sure you walking away with clean hands, and just listening to your body.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now we made a point because we were talking about the kids, and she asked the points about your kids. As a with my daughter, it was one way.
Mm-hmm.
But with my son, my whole mindset has shifted. And I think me and Loon was talking about guys. We when we think of domestic violence, we think women.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is naturally somebody beating up a woman. We never actually
Right.
really comprehend how men are in abusive relationships. Men
Absolutely.
are they are being abused. So
Mm-hmm.
having a son, one thing I always tell my daughters is we have to be very conscious of how we carry ourselves in our home. We're very conscious
Mm-hmm.
of the type of women that we are, because the type of women that we are is 90% of the time the type of woman that he will look for when he go out into this world.
Mhm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if he's in home with women who know how to communicate, how they carry themselves, and just different characteristic traits, those are things that he probably will look for in the same way. And for men, I think men who have mothers who are emotionally and psychologically and mentally abused, because at some point when guys get their teenage age, women don't really put their hands on their sons no more because they
Mm-hmm.
they're a little bigger.
Right.
But I think that mental, psychological, and emotional abuse that we as women place on young men is one of the main
Mm-hmm.
reasons. It may not be the only reasons, but it's definitely one of
Mm-hmm.
the main reasons why men probably become abusers. No, well, one of the main reasons why men probably allow women to be abusive to them when they go out into the world, because it's kind of what they're used to in their household
Mm-hmm.
at the same time. So I want to bring that up so we can talk about that topic, because we cannot leave out the men who are
No,
also
we can't. We
abused in
can't.
this
Right.
world as well.
And I also feel like it also could be from their fathers too, because
Hmm.
um, like we said, it's that you either do better or you become it. And
Mhm.
sometimes it's that um if you don't become what you have been around, whether it's your mother or your father, aunt, uncle, grandparent, whatever, you typically go far, far away from it and still some kind of way find yourself on the opposite side. So you may say to yourself, I would, and this is I'm seeing for men, you may say you'll never put your hands on a woman, but then you end up getting this woman that has no problem.
Putting our
But
hands on them.
because
Mhm.
what
Put
you
her
went through or how you were taught, you believe that you are not supposed to do nothing, and now you're in an abusive relationship. I don't even feel like I'm sure it's possible, but I don't even feel like it's many women out here grooming men to get them belittling them to abuse them. I feel like it's the ones that are just taught or just do not want to do anything back to you, and now
Hmm.
they're taking it and not realizing as they're taking it, it's still the same thing as what you went through as a kid or what you're around. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Mhm,
definitely.
mhm.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. Definitely.
Yes, yes, and there is definitely ways out of that. Leave her alone. Period.
I'm gonna
Because I
tell.
mean,
Go ahead.
financial men get financially abused all the time. You're supposed to pay for this, you're supposed to pay for that, you're supposed to do this, do that. And no, that's not necessarily true. The gender roles coming up in the house, the demasculation of a man, all that stuff plays a part of what you just said, big sis. I
Or
do
even
believe.
put too much pressure on them to be a man. Like I
Yeah,
don't
but yes.
literally like you black mothers, we are very become can be very guilty of if we have a son and he's the only man in the house, reminding him he's the man of the house. Those
Mhm.
responsibilities are ridiculous because now
Ridiculous.
he has this on his back, and now he's
Mhm.
your husband, your son, your boyfriend, the provider, the protector, and he's only 13.
Yeah.
What
Yeah. Or
is
not.
I
going
know. And it
Yeah.
what
doesn't end at 13. It can last for years.
it
I
can last
mean,
It
for
like,
years
can.
because
And
then
it
you grow
can.
up thinking that this is your that whole title thing. You know, I'm big on divorce and titles. That whole title thing. Now you're a locked in that you have to be this way. Me and Joy had a conversation the other day because she had one of her grandfathers that helped raise her. He wasn't a blood relative, but she was given to them. And he was a man, right? That word. He worked, he came home, he gave his wife his check, she took care of everything, and that was life, right? And I told her, I said, and if we look at our gender roles, if you look at our household, it's the same exact thing.
Oh yeah.
The
Mhm.
Yep.
same exact thing.
it
Yep.
does. We're not leaving y'all out either, because, baby, what?
Yeah,
That
definitely.
oh, that is the drama that you created. That comment right there.
For
Then
the
when you
whole
get a man, then you want your son to be a son again.
Yes.
Exactly, exactly. But one thing I tell young men when I deal with them, because I've been dealing with young women for 36 years, and men now only 8 since since Shan came along. And one thing I tell men, my brothers, when I meet them, I say, go back and get your humanity. It was stolen from you, and I don't mean just from the other people. It was stolen from you in your own community. Men cannot feel, they cannot cry, they cannot have
time.
no type of emotions. Period. That's not a female thing. That is a human
Human. You
Human.
thing.
It's a
have
human
to.
thing.
That's a
You
human thing.
have to
You gotta
feel.
let that out.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
I think I'm a severely strong woman, and not letting that cry out, it weighs on you. And people really don't understand that stress and too much weight on you will break your body down. You will
Mhm.
develop cancer or strange diseases, or things will start happening to your body, and your body is reacting to the amount of stress that you have on you. Happened to my mother, happened to my little cousin. The abuse and the stress that she endured in a relationship literally developed cancer in her body.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It didn't
definitely,
come from
definitely.
anywhere else.
Yeah.
My
Unforgiveness.
mother, same thing.
Mhm.
Trying to take care of her mother. She broke out in hives. She was allergic to the sun. Like all this weird stuff
Yeah.
that don't normally happen. And the doctor was like, all of this is happening from stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your body keeps score. Your body keeps score
Mhm.
everything. Good, bad, whatever. Your body keeps
Your
score.
body will show you the abuse before you realize it. I promise
Mhm.
Oh,
you.
He will. Look
definitely.
back on some of your pictures. I had a memory that popped up on this day, and baby, you know how they say, I don't look like what I was going through. Shit.
Baby,
I
none of
look
us do.
exactly like what I was going through.
None
And
of
keep
us
in
Exactly.
mind, and
That's
keep in mind,
true, baby.
remember y'all met me. When y'all met me, y'all was like, you so little. I was 98 pounds because going into my sorority and me and y'all become my sisters, that was my first thing that I had that belonged to me
Mhm.
coming out of that relationship.
Yeah.
So I can't. So it's like somebody said that they message keep getting deleted. Do you see some messages? I don't see them.
I don't see none.
Because I can't see the messages on my end.
I can't.
They
I'm
coming
on
up. They
two
coming up
different
on the
screens.
bottom of
I
the
can see.
screen.
So yeah, I can't see
But
on my end.
tell them send it to you so we can respond.
Well, send it
Yeah,
to me so we can respond.
That is a book. That is a book. Ken. That is
So I
exactly
mean,
what
so
it
Yeah,
that's
is.
the same thing. Yeah.
that's a
So my
real
body
thing.
actually shut down. Like they tested me for every cancer in the world. They couldn't figure out why I lost 23 pounds in a month and a half. And if eventually I was diagnosed with being depressed because my, like you said, sis, your body gonna show up. Your body gonna tell you what's going on. And even though
Mhm.
even though I got up every morning, I put on that mommy face and I put on that community face. My body was saying, "Oh no, we're not okay."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At all, period. So I
Mm-hmm.
was literally my body literally was shutting down. And it's so funny. What made me leave that marriage was she told me to my face, "I can't kill you in the physical, but I can kill you in the spiritual." Oh, girl, what? Oh, you can't beat me up, but you got to kill the God in me. It's time to go.
Yeah.
It's time. It's time to go. But my body had already been going through that. I was literally breaking down. I would get up every morning and I would function in the routine of being a mother,
Mhm.
being a community activist. And then when everything, when the day was over and the clock, and I clocked out the clock from doing all those things, I literally went back into the depression.
Yeah.
Because you have no more love for yourself.
Nothing,
Mhm.
nothing at all.
And that's a
Nothing.
key sign. That's one of the key signs of knowing when stuff is going wrong. Because of course, most abusers start off great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
They
yeah.
wine and dine. They got the talk, the meet, the walk, and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And then
That's the
soon,
representative.
soon as you get comfortable in that seat and take your head off and think that this is real, then the light switch flip and you got something.
Mm-hmm. That's the
But
representative.
it is, and I feel like my whole point was you have to pay attention to all the signs and never ever brush it off as it's just a moment. If you do not have a voice in that relationship,
You
sign,
will not.
red
Mhm.
flag.
Mhm.
Flag,
You are not heard at all in a relationship,
flag.
red flag. If everything you do is questionable,
Yes.
Flag.
because all it's doing is breaking down to where you're now being molded into what they want you to be. Now,
Mhm.
and eventually it's still a control. Because if you with me on how I am, what we changing me for? It's still a
Yeah.
control
Yeah.
thing.
But that goes
Mhm.
for women and men.
And
That goes
yeah,
for women and men.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you have to watch those red flags. Anytime somebody tries to control you, that's probably the first thing that will happen is asking you where you're going, why you have to go over there, why you always going down here, what's down there. Oh, control.
What did you
Mhm.
mean when you said that? Or yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
gotta be very, you gotta
Mhm.
pay attention to every little thing. And it's sad, but I mean it's worse now. Like one of y'all
And
said,
don't forget the religious abuse too. They
oh
can't
yeah,
use you religion.
oh yeah,
Mhm. Yeah.
Religious
yeah.
abuse.
And that's just as big as DV.
Yes.
Just as big. That's a whole nother
You,
topic. Okay.
yes, you're not Christian enough, or you're not natural enough, or
Yeah,
you're not.
all because you need the
Mhm.
control. I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
pastors do. All you gotta do is have your own mind or question anything they saying, and you will see the real side of them. That it ain't got nothing to do with Jesus, God, Mother, Spirit, your spirit, God, nothing. It is the
None of them, the
make
sheep,
sure
none
you're
of
under
them.
their thumb.
And you know
That's
what else it is too? It's knowing the difference between a person asking questions to understand and asking questions to control. Because
Mhm.
you can ask me, you can say, well, where are you going? Or something like that because you want to know, because you want to know that I'm safe.
mhm,
But certain twists to that question, like, oh, you going down there? Okay, make sure you stay safe, have a good time. Versus, oh, you going down there? Who are gonna be there? Well, how long y'all gonna be there? Well, is this your friend from so and so? Well, I remember when you told me that you like such. Like when you start getting into those type of questions, like you gotta. And sometimes it ain't what you say; it's how you say it.
mhm,
And
Mhm.
a person can listen to respond, or they can listen to understand.
mhm,
And knowing the difference sometimes is the key or maybe the deal breaker in a relationship. Because are
mhm.
you trying to understand me or are you trying to control me?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
people, if I got any advice for anybody that's out there listening, pay attention to when it don't feel right.
Hmm.
Because God puts that in you for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yes.
And if it don't feel right, that's almost like a good way to think about it is, you know how they tell you if you getting dressed for work and you got a question that don't wear it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Same thing in a relationship.
Yeah.
If you got to question it, don't be in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I agree.
I like that. I
Most
like that.
I agree with that. But yeah.
And if they don't never want to be around your family. Now I ain't saying something happened, they just don't feel comfortable. They never want to be around your family. Not
Yeah.
ever.
never.
It's a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It is not because they uncomfortable if nothing ever happened. They just don't want to be around it because they want you to themselves. And you got to be careful. If somebody always wants you to themselves, for what? Especially
And
if we
you,
live together, I'm
Oh,
coming
definitely.
home.
but you know what else too? You might not be able to see it, but you probably got somebody else around you that can. And God forbid they go around them.
And you better
Right.
listen.
Oh, see,
You
yeah.
better listen.
You go around somebody,
And
so they might go around somebody else, and the person may pick up on that and get in your ear. And then you
yep.
don't want to do that. But a controlling person will flip that and tell you, oh, they just don't like me. So you're going to ride with them. And I'm supposed to be this, and that. And a person that is not aware of any type of abuse would be like, well, I can't come over because you don't like my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are situations where I'm not, if you don't like my spouse, we're not coming because
Right.
some people is just messy. But when you got a person that you know genuinely loves you and genuinely wants the best for you, and your person don't want you around them, how you don't want people that love me not to be around
Around.
me?
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Because
You
Isolation.
don't do that.
they're gonna tell you some good shit that they don't want you to hear. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing I have learned in my older years, being half 100 and all, was that was that because when you're younger, you're told no, don't ask about people, relationship they be in it before that, that's before me. No, sweetheart, I listen. I want to talk about things. I don't want to know all your details about who
Right.
you've been with before me, but I do ask questions, to the certain little things. And if I'm dealing with somebody and they never wrong, and the person you being with that they only that it's just them, you ain't never did nothing. It was just all your exes. That should be a red flag.
Yeah.
Because
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
a person who's not abusive can be accountable. They can
Right.
self-reflect. They can
Mhm.
be, they're very
Right.
self-aware of themselves and things, they've been through. Because like even I said, even though I went through what I went through, I can also still see my part in it. Because hurt
Mm-hmm.
people hurt people hurt people. So the
Me too.
times I
Right.
was hurt, I gave that back. So when you
Right.
with someone and you meet someone and they never, ever, ever did anything wrong, and it's always the mama, the cousin, the uncles, the ex-girlfriend, that like, so you ain't never did nothing. Oh, you gotta go.
Never.
You
Yeah,
got
flag.
never. Like you gotta go. You got
Yeah.
to go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't it.
And I will also tell people that you need to surround yourself with people that genuinely love you when you feel like you can't get out. But just being around people that speak life into you will make a world of difference. Had it not been for my best friend up here in this corner, I probably would have drove myself to a lake because I can't swim. And I know that was a for sure
Oh
ending.
God.
Well, thank
No
God.
lie. But her speaking life into me helped me get through. And me talking to myself every morning on my way to work, trying to talk, and I talked and I prayed and I prayed. Now, when I say I prayed the same prayer almost to the letter for about 3 months straight until I got to that corner of this lake I was going to drive off into. And it wasn't there. When I came from work is when I realized that it wasn't there. When I was driving from work, my healing moment was I got to that corner and I said, dang, did I come this way this morning? Because I don't remember passing the lake, but this is my route. And then I had to sit with myself like, well, did I go a different way? Like I don't remember even coming past here. When every single morning for 3 months prior, I knew that was my corner to end it all. And her speaking life into me and saying things to me like, if a person don't love you, there's something wrong with them.
Facts.
And just things that she was saying. And then I had my birthday and I did what you said, Hakina, sits at the top. You said you started date yourself. I took myself on a 2-week extravaganza. I
Indeed.
was in Atlanta for a whole week. I went to Texas. I had an Airbnb. I treated myself to my favorite restaurant. I drank the finest champagne. I spent every damn dime I had, and I didn't care. And when I got done, I said, now if I could do all of this for myself,
By yourself.
I ain't gotta
Right.
be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
And
makes
I
you
was
a
good. I
dangerous
was good
woman.
after that. Then I also had, at the time, she was another good friend, not my fiance, but at the time she was another good friend, and she was just praying for me. I was calling her wasted, not knowing that I was calling her because I was wasted, telling her all my business. Okay. I talked to her the next day and she'd be like, I prayed for you this morning because what you went through and so and so and so on. And I'd be on the phone like, how'd she know that shit? You know, damn, I didn't mean to say that. And but she never knew, which is crazy. She never knew that I was on the other end of the phone, wasted. It never, my voice never came off like that to the other end of the phone. And because if it would have, we might not have been together because that was something that she disliked. And it was just crazy how when it was time, God put everything in line and in order. Don't do that. Don't do that, all of it. Put everything in order. And then I started to pull back from her. Like, wait, this is too good because my thoughts was I dated down. I dated down so I could control the situation. I was controlling in my relationships. I dated down so that you had to do what I said do because I was the breadwinner. I was the smartest. I probably was the most clever. I drove the best. I did everything better than you did. And I dated purposely for that reason. I never wanted to date anybody that was smarter than me or that had more than me or anything because I didn't think I was worthy to date a person like that. So I'd rather date down and control the situation.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you feel like that became from the two abusive relations where you had no control?
Correct. It absolutely did. It absolutely did because 20 years ago, I made a decision that no one would ever be able to tell me you don't have anything. I pay for all of this. And from that moment forward, up until 3 years ago, that's how I dated.
Yeah.
You never could pay all my bills. You never could pay any of my bills. You never could do anything for me unless you was taking me on a date. And then I was mad about it. So I was the abuser because I was angry. I was angry about it. You can't take me out. You can't take me nowhere. You ain't got no money to do nothing. Mad about it, but I'm still with you because you ain't got no money and I can control this situation.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that
And
also
when
came from your childhood, going back to when you said things about your mom and being in that situations that she was in and you not seeing it till later?
could have
Because
been, I believe it 100% because she stood on her own 2 feet and but she never got anybody else after that. So she always took care of herself. She always made sure everything happened. And the one person that she did put her trust into made us lose 2 houses and pushed her down the flight of steps.
that's how
And then
that's how I asked you that. Yeah.
when I got in a relationship, I thought my godfather took care of my godmother. She didn't work. But I didn't find out till later that she didn't work because he was controlling. He didn't want her working at the plant with the other guys because he didn't want her talking to them or interacting with anyone. Isolation. She didn't want her interacting with her family, brought her all the way from Arkansas to Detroit. He didn't want her interacting with she couldn't have her own personal life. She was his wife and the first lady of the church. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever she did had to be in the church or in the house. Whenever she got a job, he made her quit the job. And I was like, well, maybe if I can find a balance where I can have somebody that'll take care of me, but not control me. But I had no idea what that looked like.
Yeah.
So I was just playing it by ear and loving through it all. And okay, well, my godfather treated her like this, but she was well taken care of. So maybe if I could try to balance this with this, and that ain't even nothing that need to be on the scale.
At all.
I didn't have a clue.
At all.
And then it carried on. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm not gonna date anybody like my godfather. I'm not gonna date anybody like my mother's ex-husband. Then as I got older and I heard some of the things my dad did, I'm like, I'm not gonna date anybody like my father, even though he was a great father.
Right.
He was a terrible partner. So I'm not going to date anybody like him. Then I get in this relationship where somebody is controlling me. Then I get out the relationship and I'm like, never again. And I went 20 solid years 21 solid years without letting anybody take care of me. And when I got to a place where I had to let my guard down and let somebody take care of me, I ran amok for 2 months straight.
Wow. Yeah. You did. But that
I
goes back. Actually, a question that goes back to what Lone was asking, talking about earlier when we talked about childhood. Is that domestic abuse? Because all those psychological things that we pick up on, all those different programmings that we pick up on as kids, play a factor into how we deal with our things as young adults and then as adults. And we don't sometimes step back and look at it. We will go like you said. She actually did it involve your two previous marriages, and we will go back to our own adult life. But sometimes we don't go a little bit further
Mhm.
mm-hmm.
behind that. And say, you know what? No, maybe it came from when I was 10. I'm saying,
Mhm.
like, and
Mm-hmm.
I saw A, B, and C. So no, that's actually that question, because some of the things you're saying about your relationships sounds like what you described in your childhood
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
at the same time.
You're right.
Yeah, so if I
You're
think
right.
so I think we say when we deal with domestic abuse, what Loom said, we really do need to go as far back as our childhood.
Mhm.
And
Mm-hmm.
understanding why did we get to in these relationships, where they come from, what is it that I endured or saw or
Right.
experienced during my childhood, whether it was in my household, in my community, wherever it was, that I took in and didn't know I took in, and it took
Mm-hmm.
root.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
Absolutely.
It absolutely
And
did.
you need to change the law because that is definitely DV.
and
Yep.
I told you, I'm on that. I'm on that. I'm on it. I'm
That
on
needs to
it.
be
Yeah.
changed because it is. If it goes for family members inside of a home, whatever the case may be, or relatives, then it's the same thing. Your parent is a relative. Your aunt, your grandmother, they're all relatives.
You usually end up dating somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Somebody that. For me, I grew up like my stud aunt, my aunt Tina. I was named after her. Me and her got the same middle name, but she was my daddy growing up. And when I tell you, she spoiled me to death. Anything I wanted, gas, money, anything. But I noticed that I definitely look for that in relationships.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and
And
got comfortable.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying got comfortable with it, and because I was comfortable with it, got abused.
Yeah.
Because it was somebody that I felt like it was similar
Yeah.
to
And then
me.
And
people,
a lot of us do that though. We look at
Mhm.
we either end up dating our dads or the uncle or a cousin, like whoever gave us any inkling of love. If we wasn't raised in love, that is what you look for. And typically it ends out bad because they typically don't know what love is either, and you trauma bonded.
Exactly.
mhm.
Yeah.
And also you end up like when you were saying, I lost my train of thought.
No, it's right. But you're absolutely right, because we look for that illusion of what we think love. And now, keep in mind, especially if you one of those persons and you idolize your parents and you love your parents and you put your parents on the pedestal, even if they have a toxic relationship, to you, those are your parents. So to you, you feel like that they can do no wrong. So if
Mhm.
my parents were doing this, whether we know, whether it was toxic or not, to that child, if my parents were doing that,
Hmm.
then it's okay.
Hmm. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. And that also goes into what Hakina and Shay said
What you call me?
about I can't say my sister.
Yeah, you
Yes, you
can.
can.
You
It's
can.
only all on the phone.
It's okay. It's all of us.
My
One of
sister
us.
said, all my sister said. Let me
You
just
call me
say that.
Icona. That is,
I did not. I
that
said
we
Hakina.
friends. You know my name.
I said Hakina.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
But what I'm saying is that that also goes into learning yourself because you look at your parents and you saying, like you just said, oh, well, if they're doing it, this is the way it's supposed to be. But is that what you really like?
Right.
Yeah.
Is that really your heart desire?
No.
Or is that just what you think it's supposed to be? Because a lot, and that's that learned behavior.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
you get to a point like it was a lot of things about my mother and my father that if I really took the time, or if I would have got some dang on counseling early on, and I would have really took the time to learn myself, ain't no way in the world I would ever. Though, because I don't like that.
Yeah.
Now I know what
Right.
I don't like.
Yeah,
Right.
but I
And get
also we have to normalize making your life what you want it, because I
mm-hmm,
spoke on it the other day, with the whole divorce and the titles and stuff. People don't really pay attention to the expectations, the things that you adopted, things that were spoken over you is not who you really are.
mm-hmm,
You're walking in whatever your parents may have said, whatever the people around you may have done, or what a wife is supposed to do, or a woman's supposed to do versus a man,
mm-hmm.
or however the role is in your household. But that's not true.
It's
Your
not.
household is supposed to be whatever you want your household to be, just like your life is supposed to be whatever your life is supposed to be.
Yep.
If you don't know your authentic self,
Mm-hmm.
you still don't know you. You have no clue who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
I was on a call the other day, and the guy gave us a homework to ask us that we have to come back this Monday and say who we are, because most time when you ask somebody who are you, I'm a mother, I got this, I'm this, and I do this, and it's a whole bunch of titles. It ain't saying who are you, who are you. And then
Mm-hmm.
that's also how you get into situations where someone is able to control you, because you all you have is what everybody said you are,
Yep.
what
Right.
you're supposed to do, what these
Yep.
expectations is, and nobody ever told you that gate door, that whole cage that was closed when you was a kid is
Mhm.
open. Be whoever the fuck you want to be.
Yep.
Right.
I'm,
Which
I'm glad you
also
made that
it
point.
messes up with what you knowing exactly what you want if you don't know who you are. So
Yep.
ain't no way you know what you want
At
at that
Nope.
point.
all.
Yeah.
And
But
that
I'm not.
carries off from relationship to relationship too. If you don't date yourself,
Yeah.
you around here cooking, hypothetically speaking, you around here cooking salmon every day because your ex liked it, and that ain't really what you want. You really want a steak, but you're not gonna cook that steak because you didn't cook salmon for 12 years straight.
Okay.
You think that that's what you want to eat when that's not what you want.
At all, because you have no clue. You
Not
have
a
no
clue.
voice. You haven't found it. And I challenge people all the time: sit with yourself, because we're in 2025. Where we at in life right now, you cannot be out here clueless. It don't
Mm-mm.
mean you have to know fully who you are, but you got to be able to have a sense of who you are. So you're not going to be easily controlled. You know the red flags. You know when to get up out of there, and you know when to stay. You know what to do with yourself. But if you do not know who you are, or haven't
Yeah.
even started the journey on who you are, it is going to be so easy for you to fall into somebody else's prey, to be in somebody else's
Mhm.
It creates boundaries for you at the same time that you know
Yep.
you
prey.
need. Yeah, I told your y'all nieces when I right before and I became celibate. I say, give me some grace
Yeah.
because although because Keanu was going to college and Kiara was getting ready to graduate, I said even though y'all are going out into the world right now, we're all doing the same thing. Even though I'm your mom, we're doing the same thing. I've been on my own since I was 17. I became a parent at 21. So I'm literally just figuring out who Hakina is. I know how
Yeah.
to be a mom. I can be a partner. I can be a wife. I can be a sister. I can be a counselor. I can be a therapist. I can do all those things, but just like it's just like breathing. But I wasn't very clear on who Hakina
Mhm.
was because I
Mm-hmm.
became an adult at a early age, and
Yeah.
I began. I would say I'm a master at keeping moving. I'm a master at keeping it moving.
Girl, you and
Period.
me both.
I keep going. I keep going. I keep going. But I never took the time
Mm-hmm.
to actually stop and figure out, who I am. What do I like? What do I want? So I
Yeah.
said to people, I say, I'm pro celibate. I'm pro being single right now. Even though
Mhm.
I'm not anymore. So but that was
I'm about to say now. Wait a minute, now.
I'm not anymore. So but that was the best thing that I could have done for myself. Because
Yeah.
I had never taken the time to actually just be with myself and not being
Right.
somebody's something. Of course I was a mom, but that was okay because that was the only title, or only space I wanted to be in outside of just being with myself. So I
Yeah.
do think, one of the things that when you go through deep relationships, and you should take some time. Take the time to stop and breathe and rekindle and refigure out. Not even refigure out, figure out,
Yeah.
who you are in that
Mhm.
space. And I was on a call
Yeah.
last night, and one of the girls, she said, She was talking about, her story or whatever, and she said, I was raised that way. You can't tell me nothing. And my whole soul just dropped because I realized that's how we think. We
Yeah.
think if we was raised this way, it is truth, it is fact, and we did never stop saying, what, maybe my parents was wrong. That was, and so I
Okay.
said,
Because
when
they
I,
was human and they
Okay.
made mistakes.
Okay.
yeah,
So
even
Just
what
like
maybe the
Faith
church,
people.
maybe the
We're
church
supposed to
was
be
wrong.
better than
Maybe the
them,
could have
not
community
been.
was
them.
wrong. Yeah,
Yep.
Could have
you
been.
Yep.
never
And what's
question
crazy is
anything.
if that's their mentality, you're gonna put that in your relationship, and it's not gonna be no wiggle room for your mate.
No
Nope.
move,
Right.
no growth, no
Anybody that
change, no
dates you is going to
transformation.
have to adapt to how you were raised, whether
Yep.
it was
Mhm.
right or wrong. And if they don't, they're gonna be miserable if they
Yep.
stay.
Mhm.
Yep. I challenge
Mhm.
people that are trying to find themselves to, we always say date yourself. Some people don't know how.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Get to a point where you can go have dinner without your phone.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Because you can take yourself out on a date, but if you're on the phone the whole time, you're on a date with whoever on the other end of the phone.
And it is. And
You're
it
not
is.
dating yourself because
Yeah.
you still end up on the phone like, girls, yeah, what I'm gonna eat. And it's always somebody on the other end of the phone. Girl, when I was there, I got the salmon. Ooh, I'm gonna try the salmon. You don't want the salmon, you want the steak.
I want
Mhm.
you to get this damn steak
Get,
tonight here.
get a steak. Get a
Wait,
Listen,
steak.
best
Sizzling
steak of my
steak.
life last night. It was so good. But learn yourself. You
yeah.
know, I had to learn how to go out and put the phone down.
Mhm.
When I had my time where I went for my couple of weeks by myself, when I went to Texas and I literally dropped off the face of this earth, only three people, well, four, the person who dropped me off, two other people, three other people knew where I was at.
Mhm.
Two of them by GPS and one of them because we talked on the phone. But these are the only people that knew where I was at. I literally dropped off the face of the earth for 3 days straight.
Mhm.
And I didn't ask anybody's opinion. I didn't ask nobody's opinion when I was looking for the Airbnb, which you tend to do, because I wanted it to be what I wanted. That was so, it seems so simple, but trying to learn yourself is not as easy as it may seem. So I say that to say, if anybody is listening, give yourself some grace
Yeah.
because you got to learn you just like if you was trying to learn somebody in a relationship. I
Yeah.
had to find me a place, rent me a car. I had to pick the car that I wanted. I had to pick the place that I wanted. And I purposely did it without asking anybody because it needed to be what I wanted.
Yeah.
When I went out to eat, I didn't ask anybody where I wanted to go. When I had my little champagne, I didn't ask anybody what I wanted to drink. And I learned that these are things that I like. So when I got in a relationship, I was able to verbally say what I like and
Yeah.
what I don't like.
Because you
And
listen to your voice. You listen to
yeah,
your voice. Mhm.
right. But that takes some to give yourself, if you're out there and you're listening on this podcast, give yourself some grace.
Mhm.
Learn how
Mhm.
to love yourself. Write down
Mhm.
your what you think are good qualities and bad qualities about your own self. Put the effort into learning you, and you will have a lot more healthy relationships, friendships, situationships, relationships, all the ships.
Mhm.
It would
All
be a
of
lot more healthy because you would be able to recognize, oh, I don't like that,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
cut it off. You ain't gonna
Mhm.
question, you won't have to question it. A lot of times we get to a point and we know the first time, that don't feel right, but maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's my trauma. Maybe it's what I went through. And maybe it's okay. If you got to do all of that, maybe you need to be by yourself. Maybe you need to learn you because you're just, all you're doing is putting yourself and the person that you're trying to be with or the person that you with through a whole bunch of havoc that's unnecessary
Yeah.
and wasting
Mhm.
time that is so precious.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. Some people have to be okay with being by themselves. Some
Mhm.
people get
Yes.
up in situations, in relationships, whether it's violent or not, because they simply just don't want to be
Alone.
alone and
Hmm.
by
Right.
themselves.
But you have a friend
And
in
no
Jesus.
matter,
All right.
and no matter if we alone or not, I always save some for myself.
You have
No
Right.
to.
matter, no
Mhm.
matter what relationship I'm
You have to.
in, no matter what, I always save some for myself.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
if
Whatever
you
it
pouring out of
is.
an empty cup, what are you pouring?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny
Does.
that you're saying these things, but dealing with clients, on a daily basis who deal with psychological and emotional trauma, you'd be surprised how even though it's simple on this conversation, for a lot of people, it's not really that simple. You know,
I
Mm-mm.
don't think it's that
it's
simple
really,
even for us.
I
I
was
feel like
people.
all of us went
Oh,
through
it was.
yeah,
having to go through those stages of like I remember my first divorce and my therapist told me to go on a date and I said to do what? And she
yeah,
said just go eat and do what? Like who am I going to talk to while I'm on this date? And then she gave me a homework and I had to have it done. That is the only reason I took myself on a date and then it became okay, this is cool. I like this. I'm going to go to the bar. I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go do that. But
good,
it was definitely not easy. Don't let me go nowhere alone.
yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
because
Yeah, it was easy. I felt like people were staring at me when I went on my first day by myself.
a girl. First of all, when I go on a date, I'm get cute so you can stare at me. That's the whole point. You doing that
I ain't know.
exactly,
I ain't
exactly.
have a clue on the first date. On the first date, I'm like, they probably gonna think I'm something wrong with me. I ain't got nobody sitting with me. I'm just gonna sit here. Let me get on this phone.
Yeah, but I think as women, who and we are groomed at a very early age, of being in relationships. It's talking like in I think Shan was in third grade at one time, and this girl was like, "Oh, that's his little girlfriend." I said, "No, no, it's not his girlfriend." They was like, "Oh, that's cute." No, it's not. No, it's not
Yeah.
cute. It's not cute. He is in third grade. He is not thinking about no females or no little girls, nothing like that. But so I think, even at a young age, we say those things. Oh, that's his little girlfriend. Oh, that's his little boyfriend. So, we start that psychological thought process with them at a
Mm-hmm.
very early age about being in a relationship. Not,
Yeah.
not get to know who you are, or, understanding what you like. We're talking about relationships in elementary school, with our kids. And then we're laughing at it and we're thinking it's cute and all those kind of things. So, we're conditioning these kids that we were conditioned at an early age about marriage and get a husband, a picket fence and two dogs. And, all that stuff was, talked about really young. We're not taught at a young age, whether you're male or female, about self-worth. You know,
Yeah.
being able to self-reflect or self-awareness. Those things are not topics in the black, especially in the black household at
Yeah.
a
No.
very young age. So I think that we need to start, finding avenues and finding different platforms where we can help educate not only just adults but young children,
Yeah.
and on these topics of things that we're talking about. Because right now, all we deal with is wanting to be with somebody. You want to boo thing, my man, my man, my man. All these kind of all these kind of things that we're talking about. But we rarely ever hear someone talk about how much they love themselves or how great time I had. It was just me, and I love solo dates. I love solo trips. And those kind of things, because that allowed me, like you said, to get to know what I really did like. I know what everybody else like, but
Yep.
what did I really like? And
Yeah.
I realized some of my likes was not my likes; they was your likes, and I didn't really
Yep.
like.
Yep.
That's what I meant about the salmon and the steak. That's what I meant.
You don't make me want a damn steak. And it is
Oh,
not
good
gonna
eyes. Sissy, your eyes.
Keisha get her steak today.
I had the best steak of my
Immediately
life
get her
yesterday.
steak
I'm gonna eat it
Yeah,
in,
today.
that's the
in a few
problem. She had
minutes.
the
Don't
best
you
steak
worry.
yesterday, so she just gonna keep on taunting us with a damn
Yeah.
steak.
So,
Uh,
I'm gonna
uh,
eat this
But
the rest of
I
it.
want to say, how you said about making an avenue for kids. It is crazy. I have six biological children that I had to be a part of their life, right? Because they're mine. But
mhm,
but Abby is the one that is teaching me all over again who I am, which is really weird.
mhm.
It's weird because she's 5, right? What can she teach me? A lot.
A lot.
Um, and one day I always start, you doing too much. Abby, you're doing too much. And then one day I was sitting there and I felt it. Like, don't say that. Don't say that ever again. So I made a mistake and I said it. And I said, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna ever tell you you're doing too much. You're not doing too much. What I need you to do, I just need you to not jump or whatever it was. Like today, she was jumping downstairs and I said it again. And I said, I'm sorry, you're not doing too much. I just need you to quiet down right now because I'm doing something. You're never doing too much though. Because as for us as black women, we always hear you doing too
We
much.
doing too
And
much.
then
Yeah.
you gotta lower yourself, lower your voice, and all that. Like my spiritual told me my voice is strong. I had a problem because I felt like certain people just don't listen, don't hear my voice. It's annoying. When he said that, it was confirmation. Baby, you're gonna hear this voice. I'm gonna talk every opportunity I can talk. But I don't, my whole point, I didn't want it's crazy how it's certain things with her that I'm so able to be like, all right, no, I don't want to do that. Like, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna start that. She loves to clean. I hate that she loves to clean. And the only reason I hate that she loves to clean is because I don't want her to put that title on her that women clean.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to give her no type of title out of you, but outside of your Abigail. And whatever Abigail is, that is who Abigail is. Not you have to be a mom, you have to be a wife, you got to be this. I don't want to do any of that. But she is the one that has literally made me check my damn self, look in the mirror even more.
Yeah, and I'm glad you do that because in these last couple of years when I was in a sabbatical, my mom passed away. It
What?
really it really woke me up. Leave me alone. It woke me up to really realize a lot of things because when she passed away, it kind of like opened up Pandora's box of childhood things that I had to face and deal with. Considering the fact that she passed my birthday, like literally everything just kind of opened up. And one of the things I had been dealing with was stopping, realizing I had been dummying myself down
Mhm.
like for a long time. So it's ironic that y'all named me Brilliance in my sorority. That's my name because
Yeah.
I'm a nerd. Y'all know I'm a nerd. But I
Mhm.
had been realizing, like for my whole life, I would dummy down. I would dummy down how I talk. I'd be a little bit less smart. I change my words to make them a little bit more regular. I wouldn't talk about topics. Like I love quantum physics. I love alchemy. I had no one talking about. So I would just talk about regular things to make other people feel comfortable in the environment. Growing up, I was saying, you think you're better than everybody else. And I'm like, I never, but as a child, I never felt that way. I never felt like I was better than anybody else. I know I'm different, but I never felt better. And I realized these last couple of years that I over time, I began to dumb myself down because I didn't want other people to feel like I was smarter than them. I didn't want other people to feel like I was better than them. I didn't want other people, to feel like, all these things. So I allowed myself to be smaller, even though in a room, I go in a room at any time, I'm going to shine.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But I was dimming that just enough to make sure it didn't overpower somebody else's shine. So I'm
Not
glad.
now, baby. You better put your
Yeah,
sunglasses on.
no, not in 2025, baby. If they better catch up, because I
Oh,
tell you
y'all know.
something.
Oh, y'all know. I'm all about it now.
Yeah,
All
you
about
had
it.
the right.
Catch on to catch up.
Your name fits you. So yeah, be brilliant.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm glad you as a mom that's important because as kids we don't even realize that we take all these things in until later on in adulthood if we happen to go through a healing process. And
Yeah.
for those who don't go through a healing process, they might even recognize that the things that they're doing and feeling is because of something that happened when they were a child. Because by the time you're grown, it's your normal. It's just who you are.
And a lot of people don't think
Mhm.
they have that. Not like you said earlier. I think you said when you were before you got into the relationship, some of the questions you would ask is like a part of their like what they've been through, and if they say they never was the problem, a lot of people do not notice that they are the problem.
Mhm. Because people cover it up by telling them,
People
"Oh, that's
cover it
just the way they
up,
are.
or you just don't want
Oh,
to deal
that's
with.
just the way they are."
You don't want to hear their mouth, so you just let them be with. I remember my second ex-husband. He had a way of talking to people, and he's an Aries. He had a way of talking to
The men are
people,
different. Go ahead.
and it would burn, baby. When I tell you, it would make my skin crawl. It would piss me off so bad. And I remember telling him, "You don't like what are we? What is this? That's just who I am. It ain't gonna work with me. I ain't gonna be able to do it because you're not gonna be able to talk to me like you talk to these other people. That's not gonna work for me. I'm
Mhm.
gonna want to become the problem." So
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
I tell people
Yeah.
when people say this who I am, I said no, it's not. That's who you became.
is who became who you
We
became.
all
Yeah.
become
And
we
you're
all
gonna
become
keep
who we are.
becoming people. Yeah, you're gonna
Mhm.
keep learning.
Mhm.
Anybody that's tired of learning on their way to death,
They
you're
dead.
gonna
They
keep
don't know they are
learning.
dead because you're not growing, you're
Right.
not
I like
thriving, you're
that.
not changing. You just existing through
I
life.
like that.
Say that again. I need you to say it again.
I said when you stop learning, you're on your way to death. Or you
When
but sis corrected me and said you are dead. It's like
Mhm.
comfortability.
Yeah, you just
Yeah.
existing. It's different. I tell people, I said there's difference between existing in this world and living in this world. And majority of people are existing in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
like
And
that.
some people scared to change
Hmm.
because they're scared to lose this circle that they have come to control.
Yeah.
Their controlled environment.
Hmm.
So it's controlled because you only deal with a certain amount of people. You deal with the people who accept the bullshit.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And when you deal with those kind of people around, I've worked with a girl like that. And she had a very condescending tone. And everybody would be like, well, you just have to deal with her because that's just how she is. Nah, nah. That ain't how she is. Y'all don't hold her accountable.
Yeah.
Y'all don't
Mhm.
tell her that she wrong, and y'all, her family do it, her mom did it, all of her friends, everybody that she was surrounded by, just allow her to be this condescending person and wrote it off with that. That's just how she is. Well, first of
Mm-mm.
all, these ain't your friends because
Oh,
somebody at some point should be telling you you're wrong. And
Yeah.
then when I said it, I looked like this person that just wanted to start all of this trouble when you're wrong. I'm not going to allow you to talk to me however you talk to whoever else you talk to. And
Hmm.
I was confrontational. And some people are okay with that. And she backed off and then she left the job and got in another space with more people that's okay with her behavior.
it's a small world. Ain't too many places you're gonna be able to run.
Right? And I always say people, I always say the worst people outside of people who are abusive, people who are narcissistic, are the flying monkeys. You know, mental health as we call them, flying
Mhm.
monkeys. That flying monkeys are the people around you, your family, your friends, your parents. Those are people who continue to enable your behavior. I think outside of actually being the abuser, they're probably the most worst, the second
Yeah.
worst
Yeah.
to be around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a daughter. She is not confrontational. Now she used to be, baby, but in her now new era of 30, she is not confrontational. And baby, I be lady. Please tap into the old me just a little bit, not too much, just a little bit. But she'll have an issue with something, but because she doesn't want to piss anybody off, she'll just make humor of it.
But you know how you just said tap into the old me
I saw you. I
Uh-huh.
heard.
Uh-huh.
instead of tap into the old her?
No, the old her is gonna get her in orange suits. The old me, a little bit, is gonna make her say what she needs to say and not care about how they feel. The old her, I'm gonna be sending oodles and noodle packets. No, we don't need the old her. She need a little bit of the old me, where at least you're able to just say, "This is what bothered me," and this like those boundaries, those safety nets. Because if not, you're gonna be misused, you're gonna be abused, and family can abuse you. So
Yeah. So I know we can get next to 2 hour mark. So I would
we
say
are
to
a good conversation.
right? It's like, so I would say no to women and to men who are in domestic violence relationships or have been in them. I think some of the key points that we need to, make sure that we understand is one, it's okay. It's okay to be honest. It's okay to have those conversations. It's okay to talk about what you're going through. We're no longer in a space where we have to stay silent. We're no longer in a space where we have to, what goes on in your house, stay in your house. That mentality, that was one of the worst things that was passed down in life
Yeah,
in our
Mm-hmm.
community. So I think, we need to make sure that we like no like Nick said earlier, be a listening ear for the people around you. When they come to you, don't make people feel bad, about what they're going through. Don't make people feel like they can't trust you, or that you're
Mm-hmm.
not loyal, that if anything's happened that going on with them, that you won't have their back. And most importantly, don't ever make a person feel like you're gonna talk about them
yeah,
at all,
Mhm.
period. Because people will definitely shut down when they don't feel like they have someone around them that they can voice their opinions to, and it stays in that space
yeah,
that we do
Mm-hmm.
that. So yeah, so I think those are kind of things, and and be open to things around you and people around you that are going through things. Like look for signs.
yeah,
Look for
Mhm.
things.
Yeah.
I think of the people around me who saw. 'Cause, I'm private. Like I'm real private. So it was my best friends who was like, girl, what's going on? Like something going on. And it took me a minute to be honest, because if I don't trust you, I ain't talking.
yeah,
To just, to be honest about what was going on. So, I think sometimes we have to just check it, check on our people that, check on all our strong friends. Hold the quote, check on your strong friends. Because your strong friends sometimes
Mm-hmm.
are the ones who are not really strong. They just have the illusion of being strong. And like me, can be the master of keeping it moving
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
My remark would be, if you get in a situation and the first sign is typically isolation, if you have to question why nobody is around anymore, don't look at it as they pulled away. Take a minute, sit with it, and see, did something shift? Are you isolating yourself because of this relationship? Pay attention to all flags. Do not brush anything off in this 2025 going into the years going forward, because everybody is maturing. Abusers are becoming way more advanced. They are able to use total different devices to get your attention to will you in, and it may not just be isolation, but it's going to be something that makes you feel like this don't feel right, or that belittling. And we all know what that belittling feeling feels like when you have to literally take your light down to make sure their light shine. Reach out to a friend, keep somebody that's close, that you can trust, that loves you, that's going to support you, not talk about you. Keep them close, because that may be your only way of escape
Yeah.
if you
Mhm.
need to escape.
Hmm.
I would
I
say
was
the same. Oh, sorry.
no, no, no.
Sorry, Ella.
Go
You
ahead.
sure?
Positive.
My apologies.
Okay.
I would say the same thing as Big Sis. Just like everybody on this call, somebody kept somebody accountable here on this call. Somebody, one person, whether it's a mentor, therapist, or somebody. You need an accountability partner, just like you have for losing weight or not eating that fast food or whatever, to keep that spiritual door closed on that abuser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, and keep it closed.
Yeah,
Whatever you got to do to keep your mom busy, to keep that spiritual door closed, and and so that it don't lead back into a physical door that you can open again.
yeah,
So you definitely just need somebody accountable, somebody that's going to help you move on with your life and have a healthier relationship next time. Definitely.
yeah.
That's it.
So I would my last words would be everything that everyone said on the call is based around the person that's being abused. I would like to speak from the person on the outside that's looking in. Learn how to be an ear. When you see something, they see something, say something, but in certain situations, have a little discernment that you know when to speak. There's a term that says keep your friends close and your enemies closer. If you love your friend and you know she's in an abusive relationship, be strategic, because if you bash the person that she's with, she will close up. He, she, whoever will
Mm-hmm.
close up. But if you keep her close and keep that abuser closer, you will
Mhm.
have an end. You would be able to see, you would be able to encourage them on a different level because you have an opportunity to see what's going on. So try to be a listening ear. Try not to shut people out. And sometimes just listen. And they will tell, a person will tell you when they're ready to leave, and they will show you that they don't know how.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
be available to people that are around you that are being abused, whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, whatever form of abuse it is. Be available for someone if you realize that they're going through something. Don't stop asking questions. Don't stop showing love. Because from an abusive perspective, we need the love, we just don't know how to accept it.
Mhm.
Mm.
I like
Okay.
that.
I do too. Yeah,
I
I
do
like that.
I
Yeah.
like that.
too.
Mhm.
And fall in love with yourself. Date
Yeah.
yourself. Designate at least one day out the week to where it's just you,
Yeah.
yourself, and you yourself and I. And do something that you love doing. If you don't know what that is, then that's a that's a flag that tells you I don't even know what I
Flag.
want to do with myself. If
Yeah.
if you have a whole day, you can spend that whole day by yourself, and you have no clue what to do that day. That's telling you that you're really not in tune with who you are as a person yet. Yet.
Yes.
What did you say? We need the love.
Even though we don't know how to accept it.
Okay,
Mhm.
just in case people come back.
Mhm.
Yeah,
You said, all
definitely.
right, we need the love, even though you what? You don't know how to
You
accept it.
don't know how, even though we need, as a person that's being abused, we need the love, even though we don't know how to accept it.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure.
I love y'all.
I love y'all too. I want to
My
see my
Love
last
sisters.
word.
y'all.
Thank y'all all. I want to thank every single one of y'all for being on here. Her story has become a whole movement, and it's so crazy because we say we was gonna do it every 3 times a year. I think it was.
Yeah.
It- I just want to put that out there. This is our third time. Okay.
Hey,
I also want
you
to put out,
said, sis, do you want it? I said, yeah, I want to.
baby, and we did it. We did it, and didn't even have to sit down and plan it. It literally was a hey, boop boop, and here we are. Ren, thank you for always being available. If I
Of
text
course.
you, you are there. I love you so much. I
I
love
love you too.
you, Bree. Baby, I love you, Nix. I love this whole movement. Like, even though we all in different areas, this is gonna be amazing. I don't today felt different. So I want to put
Yeah.
this out there. If you or someone you know needs help, I put in the chat. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. Or you could text START to 88788, or you can visit thehotline.org. And all of it is confidential support. So nobody will know your business. If you have a story, you don't have to tell the world, but tell somebody so that it's not on your back. It does not have to be podcast news. It don't have to be social media news, but get it off of you so that you can start your healing process and become the authentic healed you. And healing is an everyday thing. It's not you just heal from one. It's always going to be something else you got to work on. So we love you guys. Be strong, be blessed, and do not walk in anything alone, because there are groups out there. There are people like us that love watching people survive, heal,
And
make.
lastly, I have to do my little plug. I do at the last. If you haven't gotten the book, make sure you go get it.
Yeah,
Broken
baby.
Mothers Create Wounded Children. So it's
Mhm.
on Amazon. So I'm in Barnes and Noble. So make sure we haven't gotten it. Go
Oh,
ahead
it's
and get
on
it.
Barnes and Noble.
Yes, girl.
Yes, Barnes and Noble.
That's good.
Wait.
Congratulations, sis.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
Congratulations.
All right,
Thank you.
until next time, it might be one before the end of the year. We'll see. But if not, we'll see you guys soon. Love y'all.
I love y'all.
Bye.
Love y'all. Bye bye, y'all.